Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today we're going to answer all of your guys' Eagle-related mailbag questions as submitted on a previous video here on the channel using the hashtag Eagles. We had a lot of them and a lot of really good ones, so we'll go ahead and jump right into Messiah Armstrong, who asks, if we would have gotten DeAndre Hopkins, who would you have drafted in the first, second, third, and fourth round? Obviously, we wouldn't have had wide receiver needs as bad, so who else would you have grabbed? So, I'm not going to go rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, but let's just first off say that the Eagles should definitely have made a trade for DeAndre Hopkins because he was very, very cheap in terms of the price to get him, and the Eagles apparently called but didn't make the trade. So, bum we didn't get him, but all in the past. Let's just say they would have gotten a good wide receiver this offseason, Hopkins or somebody else. I'll just tell you that the first-round draft pick would not have been Jalen Reagor at all. I would not have done Jalen Reagor at number 21 overall if they would have gotten DeAndre Hopkins. I would have drafted Kenneth Murray, and that's exactly how the draft was shaping up to look like in terms of who was available at 21. Remember, 21 was Jalen Reagor, 22 was Justin Jefferson, 23, the Chargers, was Kenneth Murray, and then Cesar Ruiz to the Saints, I believe, at 24. The Eagles could have gotten their star middle linebacker, a starting middle linebacker who could have been great for Philadelphia for many, many years to come. I love the Reagor pick, and I've fallen in love with Jalen Reagor, and I think he's going to be great, but I really wanted a linebacker because the Eagles' linebacker depth chart with Murray versus without Murray, to me, is night and day better with Kenneth Murray in there. But the rest of the rounds, I'm sure they would have still drafted Jalen Hurts because, for whatever reason, the Eagles think that they need Jalen Hurts, but I digress. That's not what we're talking about here today. But the rest of the rounds, I think the Eagles would have stayed relatively the same with more the Reagor pick because they didn't really touch wide receiver again until Hightower and Watkins later on in the NFL draft. But the Eagles at least got more weapons for Carson Wentz, and that's our first question of the day. Does Carson Wentz have enough weapons this year to be successful? Had no weapons last year and still was, so it should be an easy answer. But does Carson Wentz have enough weapons? Type Y down below for yes, type N down below for no. All right, moving on. Next question here is by Dark MLG Branch Boy. I think it's a boy, how do you say that? What do you think about Adrian Killins? That dude got speed. All right, Adrian Killins, obviously the undrafted free agent running back who many people are hoping will be one of the starting running backs on the Eagles roster. He's absolutely fantastic at UCF this past season, and many people see him as, I guess, the Darren Sproles replacement is kind of the idea here for Killins. Now, SB Nation's UCF blog was asked about Killings in terms of best and worst case scenario. Here's what he said. Best case scenario, Tyreek Hill, Button Green. Worst case scenario, he gets swallowed whole by a hungry Javon Hargrave in training camp. So that's kind of the consensus on Killings is he's 5'7". He's very, very light. He's very Sproles-like, even though Sproles was a little bit shorter. And he has the speed to be great, like the next Tyreek Hill, but he's also small enough to where he could get munched and crunched by some very, very big defensive linemen or just big players in general because that's what plays in the National Football League. I think Elijah Holyfield will probably be the fourth running back, but don't be surprised if Killings makes a push or is activated up on the active roster from the practice squad at some point during the year. But he's got speed, and speed kills in the National Football League, so he's got something going for him there overall. Like this video if you guys think that Killings will go ahead and make the roster, like the active roster, not the practice squad, the active roster at some point this year. Give this video a thumbs up. Skill Dreams asks, if you were in the spot of Howie Roseman, what exactly would you do during the rest of the offseason? Nothing. I wouldn't do anything else the rest of the offseason because the Eagles can't do anything else for the rest of the offseason. Yes, do they have the money this year to make trades? Yes, we've talked about this, but they have no money next year. They got to roll this cap space into 2021, so there's really nothing that they can do. I'd sit back and I just make sure the best players make the roster and the best players are starting in the right spots. That's basically all Howie Roseman can possibly do, so quick answer is nothing. Now, we're not doing nothing here on on Philadelphia Eagles Now because we're building what, in my opinion, is the best Eagles channel on YouTube. So go ahead and click that big red subscribe button. Also click the notification bell because only like 20% of you guys are notified whenever we drop the latest video. So go ahead and click those. That way you guys are notified when we do videos just like this. Mayor Slat, I believe, asked Mott, who's the Eagles breakout player from each position? All right, well, I'm not going to give you each position because that'd be like a whole video overall. I did do a video of my 4 potential breakout players, I think on offense and defense earlier this month, so check out the channel for that one. I'll give you my one big breakout player who I'm convinced is going to ball out. It's Miles Sanders. Shocker, right? I know last year it was his breakout year as a rookie. He is going to be so much better his sophomore year, in my opinion, than he was his rookie year, that people are going to start to turn heads and notice things. Remember Chris McCaffrey, his rookie year? McCaffrey was good. His second year, he was phenomenal, and many people consider the best running back in the NFL. I see that happening with Miles Sanders. When you look at what Sanders did towards the latter half of the NFL year, especially that Cowboy game in Week 16, the playoff game, he was dominant. I mean, he can run the football. He can catch, he can block, he can do everything. I think Sanders is going to have a monster year. Easily 1,000 yards from scrimmage, maybe even 1,500 yards from scrimmage. Very Shady McCoy-like during his peak. That's what's coming up hopefully this year for Miles Sanders. Also, before we keep going, be sure to go ahead and pick up your Eagles face mask right now at chatsports.com/Eagles mask, because if you're going to go out in public, you're going to want to make sure that you're safe. And if you want to make sure you're safe, you want to make sure you look cool. If you want to have a cool mask, you want to make sure it's an Eagles mask. That way you look cool and rep your favorite team at the same time. And we have you guys covered. Chatsports.com/Eagles mask. Get you a 1-pack, a 2-pack, or a 3-pack of masks right now for you, your friend, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, whatever it is. Most of them ship within 2 business days. I know that the 1-pack does, as what I'm being told. So go ahead and click the link in the description box. Chatsports.com/Eagles mask, the place to go ahead and pick up one of those. C-Bob asks, couldn't the Eagles get Jalen Ramsey? Because the Rams are in a really bad cap space. What would it take, and would it be practical? Okay, we've got a lot of questions about Jalen Ramsey, because Ramsey, in the final year of his $13 million contract, that, of course, was traded over from the Jags to the LA Rams. The problem is, what would it cost to trade for him? And then could you re-sign him in 2021 with your lack of cap space? Cap space, again, as always, is the big problem for Eagles and all their trade desires. The problem also is Jalen Ramsey's expensive. Like, the Rams paid the Jags a 2020 first, a 2021 first, and a 2021 fourth to go ahead and get him. Now, it'll be less than that to make the trade, but it'll still probably cost a first or a second round draft pick, because Ramsey is considered one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. I just wouldn't do it, because 1, will cost too much. 2, you just did trade for Darius Slay. I mean, how many great cornerbacks do you really need? And 3, you have to sign him to a new, $14, $15 million a year contract here in 2021, which you can't afford anyway. So I wouldn't do the trade. But if they were able to somehow make it work, him and Darius Slay would be pretty nasty there on the outside of the secondary at the cornerback spot. Would you trade a first for Jalen Ramsey? Like, let me know what you guys think. Would you give up a first? Like the 2021 first-round draft pick for a guy, final year of his contract, would you make that trade? I want to hear from you guys down below. Joshua asks, what do you think about Fletcher Cox this coming year? He's going to dominate. I mean, he's going to ball out as he does every single year. The big thing about Fletcher Cox this year is that he has help in Javon Hargrave and the return of Malik Jackson. He's going to get a lot more rest and a lot more one-on-one chances. He's going to dominate that one. Easy question. Let's see here. Owen Fuentes, he asks, if the Eagles were to hypothetically win the Super Bowl this year, big hypothetical, which player do you think would retire, and what would that mean salary cap-wise? I think Kelsey, Graham, Jackson, potentially even Jeffrey would retire. Okay. I thought about this question a lot when I first saw it. So Owen says these are the players that he thinks would retire if the Eagles hypothetically won a Super Bowl in 2021 or in 2020. Kelsey, Graham, Jackson, and Jeffrey. I think the only player on this list that I think would retire would be Jason Kelsey. Because Brandon Graham is still relatively young. He's like 32 years old. Deshaun Jackson said this offseason he's thinking Hall of Fame aspirations, meaning he's got to play a lot more than just one good season. And then Alshon Jeffrey has more left on his contract, and in my opinion, wants to prove he's still one of the best receivers in the National Football League, as he showed he was back in 2017. So I don't see any of these guys retiring besides Kelsey. If all 4 of them retired, you'd save a lot of money towards the cap, and maybe that'd help the Eagles out in the long run, but I just think it'd probably remain, a lot of people would stay on the team as it happened last year or in 2017 with the Eagles. Besides, Chris Long came back. So did anyone retire from Philadelphia after 2017? Maybe Darren Sproles? I can't remember, but it wasn't like a mass exodus from the Eagles because the Eagles have a lot of very good young players. I don't think big hypothetical in terms of the Eagles winning a Super Bowl this year. It's definitely, a stretch. The Eagles aren't the favorite to win the Super Bowl in the NFC, but it's not a big hypothetical. I think they have a very good chance of actually making it to the postseason for the 4th straight year, and obviously, doing some damage once you get there. If Carson Wentz stays healthy and has weapons, the Eagles go a lot further than they did last year, and I think they can do that again this year overall. There you go, though. A lot of great questions today on this edition of the Eagles Mailbag video. Be sure to subscribe. That way you guys are ready to go when we do our next video. We normally do probably 1 or 2 mailbag videos a week, so just look for the next video where I put out a call for a mailbag. It'll be at the beginning of the video, and then get your questions in down below, and I'll try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. But it's fun to see what you guys are thinking in terms of what the Eagles are going to do, what they could do, some hypothetical trades, some realistic trades, and back and forth. It's always fun here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Okay, be sure to be safe this weekend. 4th of July, Independence Day, so celebrate the great country that is America. Be safe as you guys are out there. Obviously, have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday for what should be another edition of Philadelphia Eagles. Now, all the time we have for today here for the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, all 11,000+ subscribers we have here on the channel. Be safe. Keep doing what you guys are doing. For Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.